under call. So we are back to,
Mr. President, I believe the motion was made by Senator Chamberlain,
correct,
and we're awaiting your ruling.
correct. Point of order was risen by Senator Chamberlain that the amendment is out of order according to Rule 7.4. The President does rule that the amendment is out of order by 7.4. Further amendments? Senator Clausen.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. When I first had a chance to look at the bill that we're discussing, my first take on it was there's no balance. There's no balance in the bill to meet the many needs of our schools, our educators, and our students. The focus of the bill is on improving student literacy, which I respect, I support, and I worked for quite a few years with Senator Chamberlain on dyslexia, and he's commented on that as well. So I definitely support what has been introduced here. But at the same time, E12 education has other pressing needs to be addressed at a time when you have an unprecedented budget surplus. The bill does not address the special education, English language learner cross subsidy affecting all of our districts. We've talked about that. We're talking about $950 million statewide for all school districts. There's no increase in the per pupil allocation to account for inflation. Early childhood needs are ignored at a time when research is telling us that this area has demonstrated far-reaching positive results. The needs of the education community, I believe, have been ignored. So I'd like to kind of spend some time on their behalf talking about some of these things. What did we hear from our education stakeholders this session? Well, the 41 school districts that are members of the Association of Metropolitan School Districts, they annually identify priorities for the legislature. They had 3 this year. The first was to address the special education, English language learner cross subsidy that we've talked so much about here this morning. The second was to address the need for student mental health assistance. And third was to increase diversity in the workplace. And of the 41 schools that are members of the Association of Metropolitan School Districts, 35 of the 41 districts are facing budget deficits totaling over $240 million. The 41 school districts that are members of that association also enroll 1/2 of the Minnesota school-age population. Members of the Minnesota Rural Education Association, they also have goals that they share with the legislature annually, and I'd like to share those with you. The first one is the need to add cooperative facilities to address the needs of students requiring specialized education, instruction. Second one was an operating referendum equity proposal. And third, they wanted to address teacher shortages. The identified legislative needs of both the Association of Metropolitan School Districts and the Minnesota Rural Education Association were not heard. It seems our colleagues across the aisle were not interested in listening to teachers, counselors, school superintendents, citizen advisory committees, and school board members in developing a comprehensive E12 proposal. So what should be addressed in the bill beyond literacy? Well, you have to go back, I think, and do a little bit of a history lesson, because in 2001 and 2002, 2 policy provisions were adopted by the legislature that has greatly impacted public education going forward. The first was the repealing of the fully equalized general education levy, and secondly was the removal of projected inflation from the state budgeting process. Prior to 2002, the fully equalized general education levy was the prime source of revenue for schools and funding education in Minnesota. And the legislature, by repealing the general education levy, committed to funding education with state income and state sales tax revenue. Unfortunately, that plan has had to compete with many other priorities for the state, and that education funding has never been adequate, and the commitment was never fully realized. I'd like to turn your attention to a handout that's just been passed out. It's by the Association of Metropolitan School Districts and entitled, "Why Are School Districts Facing Budget Challenges?" And there's a chart on the front page of the handout that demonstrates that while per pupil funding has increased by more than 50% since 2003, the funding has decreased when adding an inflation factor by almost 15%. And I know over the years we frequently talk about the total amount of education dollars that are being allocated, and a lot of people take great pride in that, but when you look at inflation, you see a different picture. So why is inflation a factor in school budgeting? The per pupil funding formula is the main revenue provider for school districts, and that contributes 55 to 60% of the total general fund. The chart on the back of the handout that you have indicates that the per pupil funding would be $925 more per pupil if we had kept pace with inflation. It's also been talked about here this morning that we probably should be adding 2 additional items to an E12 bill, and that would be the cross subsidies to special education and English language learners, especially at a time when we have a $9 billion projected surplus to adequately fund Minnesota schools. And it appears we have a lost opportunity. I do have a couple questions. The first would be for Senator Duckworth. Would Senator Duckworth stand for a question, please?
Senator Duckworth will yield. Senator Clausen.
Thank you. Well, I know, Senator Duckworth, you've been a school board member, perhaps chair of the Lakeville School District, and I know the Lakeville Public Schools have had their share of budget issues over the years. You also serve the Lakeville Public Schools as their state senator, and also the Farmington Public Schools. Lakeville is facing a $2 million shortage, budget deficit shortage. Farmington Public Schools are facing a $4.6 million shortfall. And I know Farmington Superintendent Jason Berg has been advocating that we need to do something about the cross subsidy. We need to have a basic student formula increase. So as a former school board member who's dealt with these issues in the past, how can the Lakeville and Farmington school districts address budget deficits without assistance from the state or by passing a local referendum? What I'm asking you, what are the realities of making these budget cuts to these 2 districts?
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Clausen, from the question. I know it comes from somebody with extensive firsthand experience in the education sector. It was one of the highest honors that I had to serve on the school board for Lakeville Schools. I was the chair for a couple of years. And what I could tell you is it's one of the reasons why within the first 6 months of being a state senator, I was happy and honored to pass one of the largest funding increases to our public schools within 15 years. Last year, our body, in conjunction with the House and the governor, increased funding for public schools and our students by $1.2 billion, in addition to the billions that those public schools received from the federal government. Is it enough? Can we ever say it's enough for our kids? No. But that's the tough job that we have here as the leaders of this state, looking at our financial future and that of the state of Minnesota and how we move forward. And folks, that was a $1.5 billion increase on top of what is a $20+ billion budget for our public schools. Because we believe in funding the education of our kids. It's vitally important. And so to see it politicized in ways that it has been today, I get it. It's part of the conversation. It's part of what we experience here. But make no mistake about it. We're standing for our kids, and let me get very real for you for a minute and why I'm so passionate about this bill that we're discussing today, which is about literacy. And it pains me to say this. My oldest, my daughter Grace, she's 6 years old. And folks, I can't tell you that it was a sense of guilt that I felt somewhat relieved that she happened to be in preschool when our schools were closed. She wasn't in first or second or third grade during a time when learning how to read is absolutely critical to our children's success. Thank goodness, because she's in kindergarten now, and what we do at night is we sit down and we read. And it brings me so much joy, it brings tears to my eyes to watch her sound out words and celebrate the successes that she does when she can get through a book and not miss a word. Literacy is crucial to the success of our students and our public schools. That's why this bill is before us. And believe me, if I could wave a magic wand and make it perfect for every student, I would. But at the end of the day, we're building upon the funding and the resources we passed not even a year ago and bringing additional resources to literacy. So to Lakeville schools, to Farmington schools, to Apple Valley Egan schools, to Burnsville schools, we want you to continue succeeding. We'll work with you. While I was on the school board, we passed referendums to bring resources to schools so we can work in conjunction at the state level, with the local level, as well as with the federal government, which also plays a role in funding our public schools. Thank you.
Senator Clausen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Duckworth. I know that, as I mentioned earlier, we frequently talk about the massive amounts of monies that we've contributed to the education budget, but we're always doing catch-up because we never recognize that there is an inflation factor that is always working against our public schools. I was hoping in your comments that I'd hear some of that personal experience from the Lakeville schools, because when you have to make cuts, it makes a difference to many people. And because education is largely a person-to-person business, if you will, that's where the first place you have to cut. Because in most school districts, over 70% of the budget is in people. So the first thing you do is you start laying off teachers and other people in the education community, and that affects class size. It eliminates some course offerings perhaps at the high school level, thereby eliminating student opportunities. You start cutting classroom supply budgets, eliminate before and after programs. Those are some of the things that I think we're going to be facing here when we have an opportunity to increase the E12 budget across the state. I have another question I'd like to ask Senator Pratt, if he would stand for a question.
Senator Clausen, before we ask Senator Pratt if he will yield, he isn't on the floor, but before we continue, I do want to read two sections of Mason's for you. This is not specific to you, but for the entire floor. It's under Section 253, Request of Information from Members. Section 1, occasions may arise when one member desires information from another. Requests for information are not technically parliamentary inquiries, but are generally subject to the same rules. And then under number 5, same section, the presiding officer should never permit a speaker to be heckled by questions or permit a member to present arguments under the guise of questions. A member should not be permitted to interrupt a speaker, to ask questions, or other members unless some argument reason exists. So in the opinion of the president, asking questions here has been in line. However, there are parts of Masons that would question whether we're trying to make arguments with questions as opposed to actually inquiring to information you do not have at hand. So, Senator Pratt is still not in the room, so Senator Clausen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Were your comments directed towards me? Do you feel that I've been out of order, sir?
Senator Clausen, no. I don't necessarily feel at this point you are out of order. There have been other discussions today earlier that may have strayed a little closer to that line. This was generally made, and it isn't just necessarily Senator Isaacson. I just wanted to simply make that case because if we are following down this road and we're going to continue to see this level of questioning, that the chair will begin invoking parts of Masons that prohibit that deleterious action on the floor. Okay. But you are not specifically out of order. Otherwise, I would have ruled as such. Continue, okay. Senator Clausen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that clarification. I was going to ask Senator Pratt, as a former school board member and chair, that he had the good fortune of being the chair of the Prior Lake Public Schools, chair of the school board at a time when that district was growing. And so each year they had an additional enrollment of students, which increased their budget. And so there is an economy of scale whereby enrollment increases brought to the district and increase public revenue. And I was going to ask Senator Pratt to comment on that and perhaps also look at what the district is now facing, which is a $4 million deficit, and Shakopee, another district in this area, $7.45 million deficit. But with that, Mr. President, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Mr. President, you have reminded us recently while we've been on the floor that if we have an amendment, you'd like us to get to the amendment. So, Mr. President, I'm practicing cooperation here. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to spend 1 minute talking about why, and then I'm going to offer my amendment.
Senator Murphy, you could even take 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I came over to the Capitol early this morning in preparation for today. And early this morning, already, there were kids in the building. They'd come on school buses to visit this place where we work, which is our workplace. It is our state's capital. In many ways, it is a museum. It is the seat of our democracy when I think about it. And here are all these kids running through the halls. Some of them have masks on, some of them don't. They're noisy. They're with their teachers and with their parents. Mostly, it is their educators who are telling them to stand on one side of the aisle or the hallway or another, but they're just excited to be here. Their parents, of course, and I'm a parent of two, have the primary responsibility of their well-being and their education, but then they are there with their educators as well, who have a shared responsibility in that. And hearing their voices echoing through the noisy halls of this place really made me happy for the first time in a long time that they are back. And it made me think about our responsibility together for their future and our responsibility today in talking about our public schools and why it's so important that we are funding them adequately. And to that end, Mr. President, I have the A12 amendment.
Senator Murphy moves the A12 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Murphy moves to amend House File Number 4300 as follows. Page 8 to line 14, insert. This is the A12 amendment.
To the A12 amendment, Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. The A12 amendment restores inflation to the education budget going forward. This amendment would cost $422 million in the next biennium. That is a quarter
Point of order, Mr. President.
Senator Duckworth, why do you rise?
According to Rule 7.4, this amendment is out of order. It puts the bill out of balance, Mr. President.
Senator Duckworth moves that the A12 amendment is out of order by Rule 7.4. Senator Murphy, do you have any questions?
I have advice.
Or advice?
Thank you, Mr. President. And that would be one of the reasons why people don't always move their amendments so quickly. As I was mentioning, $422 million is just 1/4 of what is being spent in this current biennium by the Senate majority on a tax cut. I think we have an opportunity here, and from my perspective, our job is to make sure that every child of every ability get a great education wherever they live in the state of Minnesota, and that should happen in this bill. And so, Mr. President, I would rule that Senator Duckworth's amendment be not well taken, and that we proceed with this amendment.
Thank you, Senator Murphy. In reading the amendment, it does violate Rule 7.4 and is ruled out of order. Further amendments? Senator Uyghur.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'll have an amendment shortly. I want to point out one thing for the record. In the previous discussion led by Senator Clausen, reference was made by Senator Duckworth about the amount of resources that was passed in a bipartisan way ultimately last session. It was a very important investment in education. However, for the record, the Senate Republicans last session, what did they propose for the formula? I believe it was Senate File 960. The answer is nothing. There was 0 recommended. This bill gained strength thanks to Governor Walz and to the House. And ultimately, through conference committee, it came together, and hopefully that's what's going to happen here. But the target was $150 million by the Senate Republicans, and for formula, which is about 60% of what local districts, it was 0. This was lifted up by Governor Walz. Governor Walz has offered in his Due North plan a vision to help fully fund schools. We've talked about many of the needs addressing formula, mental health, for early childhood opportunities that have an impact on literacy. Mr. President, I offer the A15 amendment.
Senator Uyghur moves the A15 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment. We don't have an A15, Senator Uyghur.
Excuse me, Mr. President, the A7.
We're going to go with an A7 by Senator Uyghur. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Uyghur moves to amend House File number 4300 as follows. Page 1, before line 12, insert. This is the A7 amendment.
To the A7 amendment, Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I mentioned, this is the proposal that was proposed by Governor Walz. It's still the proposal that we strongly support. In addition, I include the $30.7 million appropriation for the Letters Program and the Regional Centers of Excellence. The governor has additional points in here to help reading, including involving our healthcare professionals.
Senator Uyghur, you're going to suspend, please. Senator Johnson, for what
Thank
purpose
you,
do you
Mr.
rise?
President. This amendment clearly violates 7.4, throwing the bill out of balance.
Senator Johnson rises to a point of order under Rule 7.4. Advice, Senator Uyghur?
Mr. President, you're correct. It is out of balance, but this is our only option. If we don't have proposals heard in committee, this is our last resort other than bringing our case to the public. Thank you.
Fair statement, Senator Uyghur. This President does rule that under Rule 7.4 that the amendment is out of order. Further amendments? Senator Dietzick.
Thank you, Mr. President. So members, I've heard from parents at different events, now that we're starting to go events again, that a program like this or something similar is needed. They talked about the issues that their kids were having, that their child was having in reading. One of them talked about their child that was ready to graduate, but was clearly having issues with reading. So I think a program like this is necessary. If you've talked to Second Chance Coalition and they come by on their days in the Hill, and you talk to organizations who work with people leaving the criminal justice system, they will also tell you that one of the biggest barriers of getting people to work, and one of the biggest reasons people end up maybe in the prison system, is they have reading deficiencies. They can't read. Talking to the Department of Corrections, they do have literacy programs and reading programs embedded into their adult education in prisons, but maybe we need more of this because it clearly is important. And if you can't read by third grade, kids are usually set off in a different pattern. If they can read by third grade, their ability to graduate and to achieve success is the rate is much better. So I do appreciate this. Senator Chamberlain also mentioned that this is a problem to solve. And I agree, this is a problem that needs solving, but like others have said, we have other issues as well that are all equally as important. I've heard from parents across the state, I've gotten emails from parents in Bloomington and school board members from Farmington to Northville to Waconia to Wayzata, that they also want to fully fund special education. They said it is impacting their school district, it is impacting their budgets. So there are other things that we should be doing as well. But the goal and purpose of this bill is important because I said earlier, research shows that kids who can't read by 3rd grade continue to struggle. I'm on the Housing Committee, and we have heard that housing stability improves education outcomes. We have programs, Homework Starts at Home, that help kids stabilize their housing so that they can go to school. Because when kids miss school, they fall behind. Kids can't learn if they aren't in school. So while this program is important, kids also need to be in school. As Senator Duckworth said, literacy is critical, and it does set us on a path for the future. But if the kids aren't in school, they don't learn. Only 8 to 10% of homeless and highly mobile students pass those MCAs, the tests that we give students. A 2018 Department of Human Rights report talked about suspension and expulsions in school. If kids are suspended, they are not in school, they're not learning to read. 31% of the population are students of color, yet 66% of suspensions and expulsions go to students of color. Students with disabilities comprise 14% of the student population, but they receive 43% of all suspensions. Students who are absent from the classroom are less likely to graduate and achieve success later in life. They don't learn to read if they aren't in school. I can go on. African American students were 8 times more likely to be suspended. American Indian students are 10 times more likely to be suspended. And students with disabilities are twice as likely to be suspended as their peers. The purpose of this bill is to get kids to read, but they have to be in school. And with that, I have the A6 amendment.
Senator Dietzig moves the, pardon me, Senator, A6 is it?
A6.
Senator Dietzig moves the A6 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Dietzig moves to amend House File Number 4300 as follows. Page 5 after line 5, insert. This is the A6 amendment.
To the A6 amendment, Senator Dietzig.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, the Department of Human Rights report showed that suspensions are not consistent across the state and that we need solutions, not suspensions, so that kids can learn. Minnesota has exacerbated the problem by over-suspending and expelling kids of color and kids with disabilities. We need to be creative. This bill says that kids in kindergarten to grade 3 cannot be subject to dismissals. So it is very limited, and it is very limited to that time frame that is addressed in this bill where we want to get kids to read. We want kids reading by 3rd
point
grade.
of order.
For what purpose do you rise, Senator Johnson?
Mr. President, I rise a point of order under 35.2. This relates to a substantially different subject. This bill is very narrowly tailored, and this clearly goes to a different subject.
Senator Johnson has raised a point of order under germaneness, section 35.2, that the amendment is not germane to the underlying bill. Advice, Senator Dietzig?
Thank you, Mr. President. The underlying bill is very narrowly tailored to get kids to read by grade 3, and this amendment is narrowly tailored to keep kids in school so they can learn to read by grade 3.
Further advice? Senator Chamberlain.
According to the rule, purpose and/or subject, this is a completely different subject, Mr. President. We're focusing on educators in the school, getting them trained up, and then supporting those districts. This is outside of that, way outside of that. The disciplinary process and those issues, while important, are not germane to this literacy omnibus appropriations bill. Thank you.
Any further advice, points of advice? Senator Uyghur?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. If a young child, kindergarten to 3, has been excluded from the classroom, they are significantly at risk. And we're talking about literacy, student reading proficiency. Let's keep them in the classroom. Let's work it out. I strongly support the amendment that it is germane.
Members, listening to the advice and reviewing the amendment, I do find that the amendment is not germane and is out of order.
Mr. President,
Senator Uyghur.
challenge respectfully your ruling.
Senator Uyghur challenges the ruling of the president and requests a roll call vote. The secretary, just to read this, the question before the body is, shall the decision of the president be the judgment of the Senate? A green vote upholds the decision of the president. A red vote overrules the decision of the president. The secretary will take the roll.
Call on Senator Jasinski for votes under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Draheim votes aye.
Draheim votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Gazelka votes aye.
Gazelka votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Goggin votes aye.
Goggin votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Limmer votes aye.
Limmer votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Thomasoni votes aye.
Thomasoni votes aye. Senator Hurd to report votes under Rule 40.7.
Mr. President, I'd like to report aye for Senator Shawansinski.
Swedzinski votes aye.
Oh, sorry. Take that back. Nay for
Swedzinski votes no. Senator
no.
Hurd.
Yeah. No for Senator Eden.
Eaton votes no. Senator Hurd.
No for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes no. Senator Hurd.
No for Senator Kent.
Kent votes no. Senator Hurd.
No for Senator Latz.
Latz votes no. Senator Hurd.
No for Senator Lopez Franson.
Lopez Franson votes no. Senator Hurd.
No for Senator Newton.
Newton votes no. Senator Hurd.
No for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes no. Senator Hurd.
No for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes no. Senator Hurd.
And no for Senator Marty.
Marty votes no.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Senator Jasinski.
To correct, I voted, Senator Thomasoni said aye, not nay.
Thomasoni votes aye.
And then thank you, Mr. President. Senator Westrom votes aye.
Westrom votes aye. All members having voted or desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 35 ayes and 31 nays, the decision of the President is upheld. Senator Isaacson.
Well, Mr. President, I appreciate calling on me. You may not know this. Oh, I can wait. You may not know this, Mr. President, but I was a bit of a rascal and a troublemaker, full of shenanigans and tomfoolery when I was a kid. And as someone who was like that back as a kid, I can tell you that getting in trouble was not a foreign thing for me, even as early as elementary school. And one of the things that I'm worried about is, and I wish we had addressed this in the bill, was talking about how we handle unruly kids in elementary school. Because the bottom line is when we remove kids from the school, they're not learning to read, they're not getting their education. And that's something that I'm very passionate about, that we have to find better ways. Mr. President, I can't. Just being really loud, that's all. So anyways, I will say that when they're not able to read, not there, they're not participating, they get labeled, and I'm really concerned about that because kids at a young age, those labels will stick with you. And so I'd like to see us have taken a stronger stance on the way in which we provide rehabilitative effort rather than punitive effort in how we handle young kids as they get in trouble, which is why I offer the A4 amendment.
Senator Isaacson moves the A4 amendment. Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Isaacson moves to amend House File Number 4300 as follows. Page 1 after line 11, insert. This is the A4 amendment.
To the A4 amendment, Senator.
Along
Senator
those same
Isaacson.
lines, what it does is it says you can't take away recess from kids because being able to exercise and get out is part of what makes them healthy and functional. And this bill would just prohibit the ability to use recess as a punishment. And I ask for a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. Discussion to the A4 amendment. Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Isaacson, my reading of this is, I would say it's out of order, it's not germane. Again, the bill is a literacy appropriation omnibus bill, and the subject is to support educators and schools in getting those educators back up to speed for teaching reading. So this is a laudable goal, the recess issue, and I have spoken to people about that this year, although they did not contact me until late in session. So not a bad idea. They contacted me late, but it's still, I would raise a point of order. It is not germane.
Senator Chamberlain moves that the A4 amendment is out of order by Rule 35.2. Senator Isaacson, advice?
Yeah, Mr. President, I have a question for you, actually.
Sure, Senator Isaacson.
Thank you, Mr. President. What is the title of this bill?
Senator Isaacson, the title of the bill is written on lines 1.1 through 1.10. I won't read them, but the title of the bill is listed right there.
Yep, so I'm looking on the, Mr. President, and I look on the board, it says Omnibus E12 Policy and Supplemental Appropriations Bill. I get that the chairman has focused it narrowly, but again, I would question whether or not you can call it an omnibus bill and have that at the same time, and this is work that needs to get done, so I hope you don't rule that it's not germane.
Further advice? Senator Duckworth.
Mr. President, maybe I misheard. Is there a portion of this that also has to do with physical education and gym class, or is this just strictly recess? I guess it's a question for Senator Isaacson. Thank you.
Senator Isaacson, this just actually is out of order to germaneness. It needs to stick to whether the amendment itself is germane. That probably should have been a question before we get to the germaneness question. So any further points of advice to the president? Okay.
Would you go tell him, Senator Duckworth, it's recess only? Would you go tell him that? From Senator Isaacson. Oh, no, it was given to me. I don't know who it is. It's somebody stand alone. I just don't know who's. Sorry. What? Just put a good show on.
Members, in reviewing the amendment and the underlying bill, I do agree that the amendment is not germane. It is out of order. Senator Isaacson.
I'd like to appeal the ruling of the chair and have a roll call vote, please.
Roll call requested. Roll call granted. Members, question before the body is, shall the decision of the President be the judgment of the Senate? A green vote upholds the decision of the President. A red vote overrules the decision of the President. The Secretary will take the roll.
Call on Senator Jasinski to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Draheim votes aye.
Senator Draheim votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Gazelka votes aye.
Gazelka votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Goggin votes aye.
Goggin votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Limmer votes aye.
Limmer votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Tomasoni votes aye.
Tomasoni votes aye. Senator Hurd to report members voting under Rule 40.7.
Mr. President, I report nay for Senator Schwarzenski,
Swedzinski votes no. Senator Hur.
nay for Senator Eden,
Eaton votes no. Senator Hur.
nay for Senator Kent,
Kent votes no. Senator Hur.
nay for Senator Latz,
Latz votes no. Senator Hur.
nay for Senator Marty,
Marty votes no. Senator Hur.
nay for Senator Newton,
Newton votes no. Senator Hur.
nay for Senator Torres Ray,
Torres Ray votes no. Senator Hur.
nay for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes no. Senator Hur.
That's it for now.
Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Western votes aye.
Westrom votes aye. All members having voted who desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 35 ayes and 30 nays, the decision of the President is upheld. Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an amendment here that I'd like to present to all of you, and it really follows up and reinforces Senator Chamberlain's graph and information, the data that he handed out on the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment. And in the graph that's on the lower left-hand corner, it shows the terrible disparities between our Minnesota third grade reading scores and the MCA scores. And you'll see that our African American and Black students, our American Indian and Alaska Native students, and our Hispanic or Latino students are really struggling with their ability to read, and along with reading comes a lot of other things when we're talking about literacy. Literacy isn't just about picking up a piece of paper or opening up a book and reading the words that are on the page. Literacy is around comprehension and understanding, and the ability to take information and resources, digest it, and use it in different ways. And so I have an amendment here that would incorporate a really great way to incorporate literacy into our social studies graduate requirements.
Can we let the Secretary report the amendment?
Yes, I will indeed. I would like to propose the A3 amendment.
Senator Kunish introduces the A3 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Kunish moves to amend House File Number 4300 as follows. Page 1 after line 12, insert. This is the A3 amendment.
To the A3 amendment, Senator Kunish.
Yep, this bill incorporates ethnic studies into our social studies graduation requirements. And why it is so integral to literacy is that as we are teaching our students from the very youngest students all the way through high school,
Point of order.
need to make sure that we are
Mr.
also...
President, point of order.
Senator Johnson, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Under 35.2, this relates to a substantially different subject.
Senator Johnson raises to a point of order under Rule 35.2, germaneness advice. Senator Kunish.
Mr. President, this definitely speaks to the necessity of incorporating literacy. This is an omnibus bill, an education policy and finance bill. We have been speaking about literacy and the disparities of reading scores and the way that we need to find new ways for our students and also for our teachers to help those students increase their ability for reading and comprehension, and then applying it into the real world. And we do that by learning from others. We learn through literacy around the ability for students who may not be original to the United States or who are indigenous to this country, who are struggling to read because they don't see themselves maybe in the literature or in the information, or the instruction is not quite what they need at that time. And so, Mr. President, I would find this to be absolutely germane. We're talking about education, we're talking about literacy, we're talking about staff and teacher instruction, and we're talking about raising reading scores and the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment in Reading, and this is one way to do it.
Further advice, Senator Chamberlain.
Yeah, I know the point of order is germaneness, and it isn't, but I think more clearly it's out of balance, a 7.4 violation as well. Laudable goals, I get it, we do, but it's spending money that's not here. So, and it's not germane, it's a different subject and a different purpose completely. And secondly, it's out of order because of the spending. Thank you.
Senator Pappas, further advice.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make a comment before you rule. I just have to express my concern about the narrowness of the rulings. This is an omnibus bill, omnibus E12 policy and supplemental appropriations, even though, Mr. President,
After reviewing the amendment and taking the advice of the members, I rule
Mr. President, I'm sorry, you didn't hear my advice. I've been standing here waiting for you to hear my advice.
Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr.
state your
President.
advice. I did hear your advice before, but state your advice quickly, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I asked you to listen to my advice, and then you engaged in a conversation with the Senate Secretary, so I waited for you to hear my advice. Thank you. Mr. President, it concerns me about the narrowness of the rulings because this is an omnibus bill, and the frequent interruptions to discussions by my colleagues does not do the necessity for robust debate on the floor service. So the constant interruptions with germaneness rulings and other rulings, I think, is a problem for us being able to fully explore the extent of what it means to have an omnibus education bill in all of the areas that we should be educating our children on and we should be spending money on. So it's not our fault that the bill has been drafted very narrowly because it is still called an omnibus bill. So rulings that rule everything out of germane that we want to discuss really does a disservice to, as I mentioned, robust debate about the importance of education to our children. So I would recommend that you rule the amendment in order. Thank you.
So I was listening to your advice as was discussing the amendment and the rules with the secretary, as you well know, having been in this chair before, and listening to the advice and the points of order raised by the members, I find the point of order is well taken and the amendment's out of order. Further discussion to House File 4300. Any further discussion or amendments to the bill? Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is about literacy. And there's a great quote that I like from Mr. Benjamin Franklin. It says, "The person I pity the most is the one who is alone on a rainy day who knows not how to read." Senator Chamberlain definitely has part of the solution to staving off Franklin's pity, but I've got an amendment that will help stave off the rest. This amendment that I have today, members, is one that helps children, adults, and seniors with literacy, with encouraging them to continue reading as a lifelong endeavor. It provides a structure and community within our reading environment that I think many of our communities really have formed around over the years, and is something that is near and dear to my heart. Mr. Chair, not to belabor the point anymore, but I'd like to introduce the A13 amendment.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Senator Johnson moves the A13 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Johnson moves to amend House File number 4300 as follows. Page 8 after line 14, insert. This is the A13 amendment.
To the A13 amendment, Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Many members have joined on and expressed some interest on this bill in particular. It's one that encourages funding for our libraries across the state, especially holding the metro area libraries whole, but also helping out our rural libraries and maintaining constant funding for those libraries.
Mr. President,
Senator Benson, for what purpose do you rise?
I request that you rule the amendment out of order under Rule 7.4.
Senator Benson rises to a point of order under Rule 7.4 that the amendment is out of order. Advice, Senator Johnson.
I think she might be legit on this one, too.
I rule the point of order is well taken and the amendment is out of order. Further discussion on House File 4300. Any further amendments? Seeing none, the Secretary will give House File 4300 its third reading.
House File number 4300, a bill for an act relating to education finance, promoting literacy.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. You know, a couple days ago, I was talking to my friend Kevin, who's a retired dude in St. Cloud, who's a good friend of mine. And he mentioned that his grandson, who goes to school in St. Michael, is in third grade. And his third grade class has 34 students in it. In third grade. Now, I used to teach second grade, and I would never want to be in a room with more than 5 folks that age, let alone 35. And when you think about what's getting lost in that moment, what's getting lost in that classroom, it's a lot more than skill acquisition. That kid is not just going to miss an opportunity to learn how to read. We are going to miss that child's needs. 34 kids in the classroom, 35 kids in the classroom, there's a very real statistical possibility that at least one of those kids is homeless. Probably 2. At least one of those kids is struggling with mental health. Schools, I like the idea that schools are merely about skill acquisition, but they aren't. That's just not reality. Schools are not just about reading, writing, and arithmetic anymore. That's just not real. We have young people who are struggling with so many greater needs. True literacy is a need, but so is mathematical literacy. I got a text from the Director of Teacher and Learning in my district just a few minutes ago. This is her. She's watching. Hi, Lori, how you doing? And no one else. And she said, although it is good, letters would not be what I see as the priority for funding. Statewide math is just as high a need, if not higher. Needs for each district are different and not a one-size-fits-all like we have with letters. That's the voice of an actual educator. The director of teaching and learning knows no one knows more about the needs curricular for our students than my friend Lori does. And yet we have a bill here that is composed in willful ignorance of those needs. Deliberate misunderstanding or lack of hearing the concerns of these young folks. The head isn't automatically in the sand, you have to put it there. And we have completely ignored these other more profound needs that our kids are facing these days. We had an opportunity here to invest in something like the Educational Partnership Coalitions. We gave a little bit of money to them last time, but not nearly enough. And these are those organizations that help with literacy and with math literacy and with mental health and with all of the other concerns that real Minnesotan children are facing right now. We had that opportunity, but we didn't listen to it. We didn't hear it, and we didn't do anything about it. I heard a story from my friend Amy, who works for Partners for Student Success United Way in St. Cloud, which is our educational partnership coalition. She told me about a student named Talia, 7 years old. 7 years old, didn't know how to read, couldn't do basic math. But more important than that, when she tried in class, she cried. She didn't just struggle. She was emotionally distraught with her inability to do these things. So what happened? We didn't just give her a new curriculum. There were wraparound services to help her. United Way, Partner for Student Success, was able to tutor her after school, to give her resources for her mental health, for her emotional struggles with reading and literacy, as well as dealing with the skill itself. We have more than a missed opportunity. We have missed priorities. And for that reason, members, I urge a no vote on this bill.
Senator Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, I want to thank Senator Chamberlain for bringing this bill forward. However, I'm somewhat bewildered. Members, I was going to ask questions earlier in the conversation. I was going to individually ask some of those folks over on the other side of the aisle if they, in fact, voted for the bill last year, which I come to find out I didn't have to ask that question, so I wasn't going to waste any time doing it, because you all did. Everybody in this body voted for the bill, the funding bill last year for K-12. It was a huge bill, 6% increase. Was it enough? Sounds like probably, according to some people in here, it wasn't. However, I stand here and I wonder, like a lot of my constituents do, about just in general, how many years of millions and millions and millions of dollars have been spent on K-12 education. And now in 2022, we're coming back in the legislature and we're spending $30 million more on trying to teach teachers how to teach kids how to read. Seriously? That's amazing. I never sat on the K-12 Education Committee. I didn't realize that it was that terrible. I'm wondering, people go to school, and we have some tremendous teachers that I know of in my district, good friends of mine. And I can't imagine that they went to 4 years of college to become a teacher to not be able to teach kids how to read. I just... Maybe I'm really getting old, folks, or I'm just totally misinformed, and I'm sure I'll be probably told that, but I'm kind of a common thinker, common sense guy, and one of the things that I would expect my child or my grandchild, like I received in school when I was of that age, to be able to read. I wouldn't be able to fill out an application for a job. I wouldn't be able to do much of anything without being able to read. So I'm somewhat baffled, although I appreciate the fact that Senator Chamberlain, and I know he's very passionate about literacy, and I'm glad he is, because this is going to be a real game changer here in Minnesota, the way I see it. And again, I'm sure it's not near enough
We needed to spend billions and billions of dollars more so those lines keep dropping. But this one's going to help. This one's going to make the lines go up. So folks, I know it's tough when you're sitting here in an odd budget year and you've got all this money in the bank and, gee, we got to spend it on something and we have to do this and we have to spend more. But it hasn't been working. It just hasn't been working. I just hope and pray that this turns the corner on literacy in the state of Minnesota, because we are really, really failing. This will make a difference. Please vote green.
Senator Howe.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Chamberlain and the Education Committee. I will tell you that I have told my children over and over again, and now they're adult children, and I got one grandchild. Every time I get a chance to see my grandchild down in Tampa, Florida, I read to her. Why do I read to her? Because as my dad taught me, and my dad only went to the 8th grade, but he was well read because he knew how to read. And with reading, you can learn anything if you can read. And I tell my kids that if you have the ability to read, there is nothing that you can't learn. So this is the most important thing, because if you can't read, you can't. History is tough to learn. Math is tough to do if you can't read, because you can't read the problem. So reading is the key to education. So if you can't read, none of that other stuff matters. So Senator Chamberlain and the Education Committee, well done. Because this is the key for our children to learn. Because with the ability to learn, you can learn anything, and the world is open to you. So again, give our kids the opportunity to learn, because that is the key to read. Thank you, members. Vote green.
Senator Nelson. There is no Senator Nelson. Senator Herr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I always look forward to the opportunity of third readings, mainly when you're not in a committee, then, you get the kind of comprehensive comment or remarks for the subject and the bills or the topic at hand. And I'm sad that today the Senate bill will not fulfill the promise of America. And one of the promises of America is to make sure that our next generation have the quality of education for all. And my good colleague, Senator Chamberlain, know well that I have minor dyslexia. When I started here in 2013, we worked on the subject of dyslexia together, decoding dyslexia. I still have trouble reading today. I'm in my mid-50s. I'm glad there's Google Read. When I have trouble, I go there and put it in, and it reads back to me. And so I was very proud that Senator Chamberlain and I work on this decoding dyslexia and ongoing, and even credit me at time to time. In the hallway in the rotunda, when a member of the dyslexia community came over, I told my background story that I was a shy kid. I was a shy kid growing up in the country of Laos and here, not because English is my second language, but my inability to read. And dyslexia is one of the effects of that. But we are here for any kids who have dyslexia. When they go to school, we're in the great United States of America. We have to learn English, and speak it well. But funding is not enough for ELL. Even someone like me with dyslexia, they need to learn English. English is the language of success. The whole world speaks English. And I always encourage young students that make sure you speak English well, maintain your native language, and try to speak to other international language if you can. And that's one of my points, is that we don't have funding for EAL program. The other part that we don't have funding for is recruitment and retention of teacher of color. We're still trying to fulfill that. And America is trying to look at equities, making sure that we have teachers who look like the student that they teach, so we can diffuse or cut off colonialism mentality, that someone who looks different is more superior than I, which is wrong. But someone who looks like my parent is capable to do anything, can be a scientist, can be someone that will go to the moon. And once again, we're not putting funding into recruitment and retention of a teacher of colors. So again, I want to say to my colleague that I'm not ready to vote for this bill, and I'm not ready to vote green, so the option that I have here is red, and vote against this bill because we're looking at the next generation and the emerging community, which look more like myself, Senator Bobby Joe Champion, and Torres Ray, and Franson, and Kunish. We want them to be productive citizens of this country. You know, the whole world, there's two schools of thought. One is that illiterate society, and the other is a literate society. Which society can govern the other? A society of illiterate govern those who are able to read and write? No, it's the opposite. So we want to make sure that our student, black and brown, have the same opportunity as white students as well. And I'm also a proponent for desegregated data, because sometimes when you put the silo of Asian American together, you know, you have some of those who excel greatly in education, but when you break down Southeast Asian, those who came here as a refugee, those who say, we're going to put our ancestors said, we're going to put our life on the line just so that our children can have better life. And many die for that. That's why I'm here. That's why my children will be here in the future, because we want the same opportunity for all. And my forebears, I know for sure they're struggling. They are from a illiterate community, but they want to make sure that their next generation is able to read and write, but not in the society of colonialism mentality. So again, I call my colleague to join me in voting red. Thank you.
Senator Nelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I stand in support of House File 4300. Members, we are here in 2022. It is not a budget year, but let's look back at the most recent budgets that I'm sure many of you will recall. 2017, let's talk about that education funding. Historic education funding, far surpassing education funding under the previous majorities. 2019, again, historic education funding. historic. 2021, again, historic education funding, billions of dollars over the anticipated already growth in education funding. Some of it is already built into the budget, as are the expectation of new pupils. Each one of those two-year budgets was historic education funding, billions of dollars over the projections. Why did we do that? We do that in a bipartisan way because education is the great equalizer. It is the great equalizer. And today, we are talking about reading. Reading is fundamental. Literacy is essential for a good education. Reading, literacy is the key. It is the key to unlocking the opportunities that education brings in our country and in our state. Education, the key, it is the key that unlocks opportunities, that allows students and their parents to fulfill their dreams. Reading is the key. It is what breaks down barriers. If we can teach a student to read, if our students leave our schools knowing how to read, being literate, the world is their oyster. There is nothing that will hold them back. And that's why I am so glad that Senator Chamberlain, in this non-budget year, has focused every iota of this education bill that is a supplement to our already historic education funding. He has focused this on the thing that matters most, which is reading. And as a reading specialist, I know, and I worked with teachers who some did not have training in reading. In fact, one of my colleagues, I was a middle school and an elementary reading specialist, one of my colleagues at the high school level also recognized that, and she set up CARS, content area reading strategies, because many teachers had not been trained in reading strategies. Now, this bill is monumental in that it is investing in the teachers. This bill is investing in our valued reading teachers. And it's making sure that not just those reading teachers, not just those special ed teachers, we want all of our teachers to have the reading strategies, the reading letters program, that reading teaching that has been so successful. I would encourage a green vote. Some of you will say, well, this bill isn't everything. Well, of course it's not. We don't have bills here that are everything. We have bills that are focused on one issue and we go to it. That's what this bill does. I encourage a green vote.
Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Mr. President and members. The bill before us, House File 4300, represents a choice on the part of the majority to put $30 million into literacy, a laudable goal. But I worry a great deal about pumping $30 million into literacy when there aren't adequate educators or ESPs in our schools to actually carry out the function. And the reason why educators and ESPs are leaving schools, a number of them, we know about unemployment insurance and not extending that to seasonal employees, an issue that's unresolved yet this session. But more importantly, that we continue to underfund our schools. And through 2 years of a difficult pandemic, which impacted all of us, educators are being very clear with us now that they understand the work in front of all of us. Responsible adults for our kids is real and serious, whether we're thinking about their ability to read, about their mental health, about their social skills, and coming back on track And that is why I'm concerned with just $30 million of literacy in this education omnibus bill. It is indeed a choice. It is one that I think undersells and under-recognizes the very important nature of our public schools across the state and the ability through those public schools to make sure that every kid, wherever they live, regardless of their ability, gets a great education here in the state of Minnesota. Senator Clausen did a very, very good job of reviewing the history in the last 2 decades around decisions made by a previous legislature that have put us in this position of declining funds, defunding our public schools because of decisions made in 2002 and 2003. I won't belabor those points again. They've been discussed on this floor. Senator Clausen did it again today. He did a great job. But I think it is important for us to recognize that we're at one of those moments again where the decisions that we're making this session are impactful, not just for the integrity of this body, for the budgets that go forward, but for our kids. And I can't think of a more important responsibility for us as legislators than the future of our children. I represent a district in St. Paul. The inflation-adjusted aid shortfall for the public schools in St. Paul is $9.7 million. The amendment that I offered that was ruled out of order would have accounted for that in the future. But we ruled it out of order, and we never gave it a shot in committee. I understand inflation was a subject of the committee discussion, but it wasn't given a shot there, not given a shot today. So the public schools in St. Paul are short $9.71 million. In the Stillwater area, they're short $1.9 million. In Forest Lake, they are short $1.3 million. Those are school districts in Senator Housley's area. In Osseo, they are short $5.1 million. $5.1 million. That's in Senator Limmer's district. And of course, in White Bear Lake, it's $1.9 million. In Centennial, $1.4 million. In Senator Chamberlain's area. And in Anoka-Hennepin, the largest school district, $9.1 million, Senator Abler's district. It is our job to make sure our public schools are funded. Senator Nelson said that school or education is the great equalizer. In a democracy, education is a great equalizer. If you read Plato, education is a great equalizer. We believe that in our bones, but we're not acting on it, not with this budget proposal. Senator Klein calls it the season of surplus. I like that. We're living in a season of surplus. We could choose a thing. There are a lot of things to do. The most important thing is to make sure our public schools are well funded so that the educators that are there, along with their responsible parents, make sure that kids can read, that they're learning, and they are ready for their bright future. And this budget proposal, this omnibus education budget, far undercuts that goal, and that is why I will vote no. Thank you.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill for a couple of reasons. Number one, I was 9 months pregnant with my first little boy when I announced my intentions to serve in the Senate. And the night before I was sworn in, I found out I had 2 more little boys to fight for. This fight is personal for me. There's a lot of talk and rhetoric around here today that Republicans simply don't care about our public schools, or we just don't get the issue. But that couldn't be any further from the truth. And I want to fight for the students in my district like I am fighting for my own little boys and their future. That's why I support this bill. If our students can't read, what are we doing here? On one of the first or second education committee hearings that we had this year, we had parents come in and talk about their students, and a lot of them said, my child can't read, and my heart broke. And I went home that night and I made sure to read to my little 2-year-old. And I do that religiously every single night ever since that hearing. One of the biggest pieces of advice that was ever imparted to me by my mother-in-law was to read to your children. Read them the classics and read to them every single night. Her father was an elementary education teacher, and their entire upbringing, my husband and his sister, was being read to. They understand the importance of your children being able to learn, but not everybody has that availability to do that for their kids. Not everybody has the skills to teach their children to read, and that's why we need to make sure that our teachers have those skills. That's why I am so proud of the work Senator Chamberlain, our Education Committee staff, and the Education Committee members have put into this bill to make sure that we are getting our students back to the basics, that they can read, that they can be set up for success. Republicans do care deeply about our schools. We care deeply about our students, and that's why we are working incredibly hard to get them back to the basics. I encourage a green vote. Thank you.
Senator Isaacson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, first, I want to start off by correcting the record. In the last budget year, when the Republican plan for education came out, Senate File 960, they had $0 on the formula. I've heard a couple of my friends across the aisle crowing in almost a bragging nature about the money they've spent, when the reality was, when their budget first came up, it had $0 in the formula. So let's be clear about this. It is almost as if they come in low and have to be dragging, kicking and screaming across the finish line to get money spent. And let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about what's called a false narrative. A false narrative is when you present a narrative as if it's the truth of what's going on, but doesn't reflect the reality of what's going on. And there's two competing narratives that are going on here today. One narrative is the idea, and I quote, historic funding in education. Historic funding was said several times. The other narrative is the reality. When you look at the spreadsheet on funding, of how many all the districts or most of the districts have fallen behind in terms of how much they have. So how can these two narratives be true at the same time? How can you have historic funding and be bragging about that, and yet have school districts that don't have enough money? Well, one of the two can't be true. Now, let's be clear about this. Has the budget offered in 17, 19, and 21 offered more money than the year before? Yeah, it did, as almost every budget in the state does, most of the time because economies grow and because of inflation. So to make the claim that we've now spent more money or made historic investments sounds a bit like hubris to me when it comes to the reality of falling short of what it costs to educate our students. And that's the difference, folks. The difference is one narrative is telling you and taking a victory lap about funding education at historic levels. And the other narrative is saying that's not a real representation of reality. That's a nice narrative. And in the sense that you spent more money than the previous year, you can say that. In the sense that you're actually funding education, you cannot. You cannot have the two narratives at the same time. And the reality is, the narrative or the truth of the matter is, we have schools that are 27, 47, 28 million, 46 million, 40 million, 12 million behind just on special ed alone, not to mention the projected budget shortfall. Some as high as 50 million. So I'm a bit incredulous when I hear talk or victory laps about historic investments and our schools are still underfunded. It either demonstrates a stunning lack of willingness to accept the realities of what it costs to educate, or well, I can't go any further than that because now I'm speculating on motives and we're working really hard not to do that. So I have to tell you that I'm frustrated with that. This bill, at the end of the day, is a value statement. Senator Coleman, you talk about how much Republicans care about education. I've heard you say that. I have yet to see evidence of that. And I deal with evidence in the reality of how people behave, not what they say. We can repeat ourselves a lot on what we believe to be true, right? What we want people to think we think. But I always say watch the actions, because the actions will lead you to the truth every time. 0.03% of the surplus. That's what this bill says. Spends 0.03%. We have $9 billion. And I've heard some members hide behind the idea, well, it's a supplemental budget, it's not a real budget. So, who cares? We have a crisis in education. And we have the ability to do a lot about it. Can you imagine the different narrative we'd have in general if the Republicans, to their credit, came forward and said, you know what? We are willing to put some money in, but we're going to need to see some reforms. And these are the reforms we believe in, and this is the money we're willing to spend. Let's find a middle ground there. Imagine how different this session would be. Imagine how abuzz we would be with actual conversations of policy and investment. Imagine how we would see education in a different way with good ideas being brought forward. Some shot down, some passed. Not everybody completely happy, which is usually what it seems like is the rubric of passing something that'll work. Instead, we're sitting here with a $30 million budget. Folks, I brought my Durango, my Dodge Durango, not a plug for the car, although it's pretty good. I brought that into the shop the other day, and it was like 4 things were wrong with it. One of the small ones was just a thing to do with my vent on my air conditioning. And some of the bigger ones were bigger, much more costly issues. And if I said to my wife, you know what, we have to fix this, but we're just going to cover the cost of the vent and nothing else, that would be equal to what we're doing here. Is it good that we tackle literacy? No one's debating that. It's a wonderful idea. And now you fix the vent in my car, but my transmission still has a problem. And pretending the transmission doesn't have a problem doesn't make us focusing on the vent any better or the car run any better. How much money we're spending to fix one part of education, laudable as it is, I'm not even sure I agree with the way it's being done, but I'm happy anything's being done there, when it is just such a tiny part of the overall pie of what education is about and how much it costs. That doesn't get us across the finish line. And the rhetoric I hear, and I don't blame you, members on the other side of the aisle are praising the bill and talking how good it is to get literacy done, and I get it, stick to what's winning, I understand that, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's solving the problems that we have. And I like my friend Senator Chamberlain, who always says, this isn't a fix everything bill. Well, why not? What are you doing? You have the committee. You have the power to make a change. You have the power to strike deals, to fix some of the things you see are wrong, and you did that on literacy, and you did do it on dyslexia, and I'm not going to lie to you, that's always going to be a special thing to me that was done. I appreciate that. As an educator who deals with dyslexic students all the time, I appreciate that being done. But that is just one part of such a larger narrative that's missing here. The narrative of historic investments versus the narrative of chronically underfunding our schools. I don't like inflation. I hear my friends across the aisle arguing about inflation all the time because it's suddenly a really big deal. And I think it's horrible. And I know that education inflation goes higher than normal inflation. And the reality is we have a real responsibility to be funding all of education, and we're not. So what happens when we don't fund education adequately? Well, we lose programs, we lose infrastructure, and finally, we lose teachers. These 3 things are pretty important, right? Because if you don't have programming, you don't have infrastructure, you don't have teachers, I don't care what literacy program you put in place, nothing's going to happen. And we're taking advantage of teachers by putting them in a position they cannot win. And we're doing the same thing to teachers that we did to PCAs over the last 10 years, where all we're going to have left are the true believers that do it because it's what moves their heart. And that's all that's going to happen. We're going to burn those folks out, and we're going to be in trouble, and that's the exact same thing we did to PCAs over the last 10 years, and now we're reaping the rewards of that disaster. And now here we are doing the same thing in education. Folks, this bill is a value statement. And the values it's talking about are really narrow. Important, but narrow. There is so much more that has to be addressed and owned and fixed, whether it's talking about the cross-subsidy, the number of students in a classroom, the safety in classroom, how we discipline in a classroom, whether we have civics or financial literacy being taught in a classroom, how we bring in teachers, how we retain teachers, how we pay teachers, the way in which we fund schools in general. I mean, there's just such a long list of things that just were completely ignored this year. And just so we're clear, Mr. President, I'm setting up the logic, and I think what I hope is the persuasive note about why I will not support this. Because it does not get us where we need to go. It doesn't provide for the solutions that are happening of the problems that are happening across education. You know, when we went to in-person schools, or excuse me, online schools, and my kids were there and I had to be with them every morning, getting them through, teaching them how to use the computers, and I had the teachers there, and watching the work they did in impossible situations with impossible timelines to put together a pedagogy just at least save or triage our education system so our kids didn't fall wickedly behind. And the luck I had in my spot of being able to be home and take care of them and the kids that weren't there, there's an entire generation that we're worried about. And what I love about this is when my friends across the aisle get up and they talk about how Governor Walz sent them home and shut the schools down. Yeah, because he didn't want people to die. Another false narrative that we don't seem to agree upon. And so, folks, we have such a responsibility, and we're so short of meeting that need. It is my hope that while I expect that my persuasive comments maybe not turning the dial for anybody else, it is my hope that as we go into conference committee, this bill comes back a lot better. Senator Chamberlain, despite all of our differences, and I know you and I are not the greatest of friends, I sincerely want to vote for an education bill that changes things. I want to vote for a bill that I can be proud of, and I don't care who the author is. And it is my sincere desire to see that bill happen. And so I hope when it comes back, I can give it a green vote. Please consider that when you go to conference. Thank you.
Senator Senjum.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. Mr. President, members, I've been in this Senate for 20 years. I've never served on the Education Committee. But I would dare say, at least within my heart, education and the future of our kids is probably the most important thing that I can think of that might come out of this room ever. And, Mr. President, we have talked about education for my 20 years and many, many years before that. And we have opportunities, and we have a great system here. But today I think we have a chance to make it just a little bit better, and I want to thank Senator Chamberlain for bringing this bill forward. We talk about the promise of America, and the promise of America is kids can read. And the promise of America is kids are our future, and we need to take care of these kids. We need to nurture them. We need to bring them into a future that is such that they can grow and prosper, survive, and frankly carry our state forward. That's what's important here today. And reading is just about everything. Reading is the start. And I'll say this maybe a couple times. Don't vote for what this bill is not. Vote for what this bill is. This is a good bill. Teaching kids how to read, putting an emphasis on reading. There is nothing in this state, I don't think, that can be more important than that right now. Mr. President, I think about a school principal in our community of Rochester, Warren Zimmerman. He retired a few years ago. I saw Warren on the street. Warren, what are you doing? Well, I'm out at the Federal Medical Center, federal prison, frankly. Well, what are you doing there, Warren? That sounds a little strange. Well, I'm teaching them how to read. Because he said, Dave, most of them don't know how to read. Guess what? They don't know how to read. Where are they? They're in a federal prison. I think about Senator Putman a few years ago, and I've talked about this story. I won't go into it, but here we are, 4:30 in the afternoon, a bonding trip. We're talking about the intake area of the St. Cloud State Prison. 34 inmates come off a bus, Hennepin County, walk in, go into a glass cell. We're standing there. What do we do? We're looking at them. This is pretty strange, even uncomfortable. Not because of risk, but just I'm thinking about these 34 people and their lives. And I asked the warden how long, and he says a year and a day to life. I suspect many of those 34 are still up there. And why? In large part, probably because they couldn't read. If you can't read, you cannot get anywhere in this life. Someone talked about, well, math is more important. I dare say if you can't read, you can't learn math. You got to learn to read first. That's how important this is. It's basic to our survival as a person, as a country, as a state. Nothing is more important than this. And so as we talk about this bill today, Senator Chamberlain, thank you for bringing it forward, because it's the first time that I know of that we really are focusing on something, and focusing on something that's just so incredibly important to our kids. And let's not forget, if I haven't said it already 3 times, our kids are our future. Our kids are our state going forward. Our kids are our nation going forward. They are that important. And we have a gift here today. We can give them a literacy program like they've never had before. And again, it's not all everything, not at all. There'll be other days when we talk about the same thing. But for today, let's just talk about this program and talk about what we can do. What we can do, people. And again, vote for this bill for what it is, not for what it's not. There'll be other times and other days, other years when you can vote on things that aren't in this bill. But for today, we have a magnificent opportunity. And thank you, Senator Chamberlain, for this. A magnificent opportunity to give our kids a boost in their reading skills. That is just so incredibly important. So, Mr. President, members, thank you very much. Please vote green on this bill. It's probably the most important bill you could ever vote on, in my view. Thank you.
Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I wanted to address something in regards to a handout on the floor today that had a chart that was showing, it says General Education Formula Allowance. But as I read, and it's important to always do this, read on the bottom of the chart where the numbers were coming from here, because I think it's important to really understand the context of the graphs. So the implication was this was only about the state general education formula allowance. But on the legend on the bottom, it says source, general fund state aid, and levy revenues. Levy revenues are local property taxes. So this chart here that we're seeing is portraying as if this is the state funding on the general education formula allowance. What it does is it includes property taxes. And as we know, many, many districts may have a variation in what property taxes are. So this wasn't just general aid formula allowance, adjusted for pupil weight change and inflation. What I thought was interesting also, as I saw this went back to 2003, the implication by a member here on this floor was that the Republicans just didn't do historic funding. Well, I look at this graph chart and it went from 5,000 up to 7,789 if it was CPI, but it went from 4,966 up to 6,863. That is historic. That is the most in the history of our state on funding, even with the local property taxes being included. Then I took a look at the criticism of Republicans. I thought that was interesting too, because if you look at the years here, 2003 to 2009, the Democrats were in charge. And if you notice, their funding did not keep up with CPI. Didn't at all, 2003 to 2009, under the Democrats. Now, for 2 years, from 10 and 11, the Republicans in the Senate were, and then funding increased. And then when the Democrats had control, 2012 to 2016, again, the spread between CPI and the number below that, there was quite a spread. And then when the Republicans took control, on to today, in the last 6 years, the increase in this education funding is very, very obvious, of historic proportions. And so I think it's a little bit not correct to just lay this at the feet if you want to make that criticism, recognizing that out of all those years, without question, there were plenty of years where the Democrats were in charge, and they had opportunities to make the distinction. But back to the bill here today, for me, I have learned so much from Senator Chamberlain. I was on the Education Committee for about 2 years. I learned a lot there about formulas and acronyms and, oh my goodness sakes, my appreciation for those of you to serve on the Education Committee is tremendous after those 2 years, and appreciation for what it's doing. But what I learned from Senator Chamberlain was this absolute passion for literacy. All throughout the past years, I've heard him make this such an important issue, talking about dyslexia. Prior to his really focusing on dyslexia, didn't really have as much of a sense of what this was and what it meant and how important it was. And I credit Senator Chamberlain for what he's done to raise the awareness in this entire chamber, not just the committee, on the importance of that. And then this year, I also really thought about how parents are really the first teacher. When it comes to reading, parents have a responsibility and are the first teacher from the time their children are born and their language skills and reading and those opportunities and recognizing that, how important that is. But in this particular year, because it is a non-budget year, to see that Senator Chamberlain took that passion and put it into bill language in regards to focusing on literacy, that which is the most important. Because if you cannot read, then history and English and even math and science, geography, all of those things are so dependent upon reading, being able to read at your grade level, especially by 3rd grade. So recognizing that, how critically important it is. And when I hear that number, 40% of our students here in Minnesota cannot read at grade level, that is absolutely horrendous. What a disservice to these children to have them in school and have them not able to read. 40%. That is really a terrible percentage. And so focusing on that right now, the most important thing we could do is to focus on literacy, focus on that reading. And so the greatest value for a school is actually in literacy, in that reading. So if you want to vote against literacy, go right ahead. You want to vote for literacy, for reading. You want to vote to change something, change the 40% who cannot read, because that affects everything, everything. And matter of fact, in my years of talking about the prison system as well, prison system is full of people who cannot read. Not only literacy for all of our kids today, but literacy there. That's the consequences, not always, but without regard to the fact that reading and literacy, absolutely crucial. So I'm voting for literacy. I'm voting for reading. I'm voting for change, that we change this 40%, that they can read. My heart of compassion and care for these children. I will vote for literacy and vote to make this change, and I'm very grateful for Senator Chamberlain and his focus on this bill. Senator Chamberlain has brought us a focus on that which is most important. And I'll be gladly voting a yes vote for House File 4300 and encourage all of you to vote for literacy, voting to change at 40%. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members. You know, we can call a budget historic if we're interested in self-congratulation in St. Paul. But no matter how much we call our investment historic or significant, the context that we're operating with when we use that word is our own self-congratulation and not the students themselves. It's not how good our funding was compared to the year before that or how good funding was in a Democratic year or Republican year. No kid throughout this state cares at all what party funds their schools. They just want them funded. I don't care either, frankly. That kid who is struggling in Greater Minnesota right now in their class doesn't care that we think our funding was historic last year at all. And I don't either. Because we need to think more about consequences and effects and not just what makes us feel good in St. Paul. So think about those kids in greater Minnesota who are struggling with these things. And a bit of context real quickly that many of you probably know much better than I do because you've been here a lot longer than I have. And that's that in the early 2000s, Governor Tim Pawlenty put together a commission to find out how much it would cost to educate all of our students up to standards, to fulfill our constitutional obligation. Because friends, we remember that that is our constitutional obligation. The Constitution of Minnesota makes very clear that we are to fund our schools well enough so that all of our students can meet standards in all areas. Have we done that? Have we? Ever? I know that narrative exists out there. I've heard it from my friends and my neighbors when I've knocked their doors and talked to people in St. Cloud and St. Augusta and Waite Park and St. Joe. They say it feels like we just keep throwing money in our schools. I totally understand that feeling. It feels like a bottomless pit where we just keep throwing money and throwing money and throwing money. The problem is we don't know how deep the well is in the first place. We cannot say that we have under or overfunded education because we don't know how much it's going to cost to do it right. That needs to be part of our perspective. And please understand that this is not a vote exclusively about literacy. This isn't a vote about whether or not you believe literacy is important or not. Oh, and by the way, numeracy is not dependent upon literacy. You can learn math without learning how to read first. There are math teachers all around the state right now who are really disappointed in us and going to send us to detention for not realizing that fact. But I'm going to go back to this. Think a little bit about the actual consequences of our decisions, not in St. Paul, but in the lives of the children and the young people and the parents and the families we're trying to help. This is not a vote about literacy. It's a vote about our kids and how much we're going to stand up to support them. I'm still voting no, but I'm not voting no to literacy. I'm voting no to a myopic, incomplete perspective on education that doesn't understand the need to support all schools and all students in every way.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to all my colleagues for your wise words. A few more things about the word historic and how to read charts. As Senator Kiffmeyer was addressing the Democrat and Republican power history as we went through this chart here, I leaned over to my colleague, Senator Rest, and I said, have we always had a $9 billion budget surplus? And she laughed and said, no, here we were in deficit, here we were in deficit, here we were in deficit. So to really say that the spending has anything to do with which party is in power is not entirely accurate. Also, let's talk about the word historic. Historic just means that it's more than the previous. Some of you have noticed I never wear high heels. If I were to say, I bought a pair of high heels today, I spent a historic amount on them. Doesn't matter if I bought them at Target or Neiman Marcus or if I bought them at a garage sale. If I've never spent a lot of money on something, to suddenly say it's a historic amount doesn't mean much. But the truth is we do have a historic budget surplus. And we have a historic opportunity to fund those things that we have not been funding in the past, specifically, let's just say special education. So we have several mothers in the room. I'm one of them as well. I care deeply about education. I read to my children every day, I'm sure, or every day I was able. And reading to children is extremely important and a key indicator in their literacy. We have lots of kids whose parents can't read to them for a variety of reasons. I have friends who teach in very, very poor schools who tell me that kids come to schools, they don't know, they come to kindergarten, they don't even know how to hold a book. They hold it upside down. They read it backwards. They've never seen a book before. For us to say that we've read to our children, we know the value of parents' time in getting their kids up to speed and ready, totally ignores the reality that there's many children who, either because of their family circumstances or maybe because they have special needs, they can't learn to read before even third grade. And we are ignoring that. The House bill offers up at least $400 million to address the lack of cross-subsidy funding from the feds. And I bristled to hear, well, that's because we're in this trouble with special ed because the feds aren't paying their bills. Well, that's true. The federal government is not meeting its requirement for special education funding. So we can pout and say, well, we're not going to either. Or we can address the fact that this is a really important thing. If we say we want every child to read, then we want every child to read, even those with special needs, even those who don't come to kindergarten with English as their first language. So that is opportunity that we could have matched. We could have offered up $400 million. We have a huge budget surplus. Let's see, $400 million, that's about 5% of our budget surplus. I probably got the math wrong, sorry about that. But anyway, I do want to get one piece of math right. I heard some of my colleagues behind me stand up and talk about this enormous investment in literacy. And if you were here yesterday, we all voted on the transportation bill. I might point out that one earmarked project, 169 up from Taconite to Purgady, or some town that starts with a P, was funded at $150 million. That math is pretty easy, even if you don't know how to read. That is 5 times for one highway project, 5 times more than we are singing the praises of addressing the huge needs of literacy today. To me, that's embarrassing. I am glad that I'm going to vote no on this bill because it does not address the huge opportunity we have with the budget surplus. I am glad that I can face those special needs parents. I'm glad I can face the superintendents in my school. I am glad that I can face everybody who's come to me over the last 2 years begging for help on funding teachers and education. I'm glad that I can say to them, we tried. It's not my fault. We could have grabbed this opportunity, and like Senator Isaacson, I'll be hoping for a better bill to vote on when it comes back from committee, but I am voting no today. Thank you.
Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's see, how do I say this? So one of the roles of mine as the library media specialist was to teach students research skills, and to be able to find facts and relate to them. And we heard something earlier today on the floor that I would like to correct because we went back and we made sure that we had the facts straight. It was said earlier, I think it was Senator Ingebretson said that we all voted for this bill last year. Well, we didn't all vote for the omnibus bill last year. In fact, 37 people in this body voted for the omnibus bill last year. That means 29, and we can imagine who those 29 were, because there was 0 on the formula. Let's remember, the omnibus bill last year had $0 for our students. So yes, this is a historic investment with $30 million going towards a program. But last year it was $0 on the formula until it went to committee, came back, and we put that 2.4 and 2 on the formula, not even keeping up with inflation once again. So it's important to remember that while there are folks that will use different facts to the matter, it's always important to go back and look at that. And when our Republican counterparts want to talk about how they support our schools and how they support literacy, I just want to remind everyone that back in 2017, yes, there was a formula increase of 1.5 and 1.5% each year suggested, but that was only $91 per student. That's an investment of $91. And when we say, well, how much is enough? I don't know. Is $91 per student in a school year enough? Not only that, some of our senators here who love literacy, and literacy is their priority. In 2017, the Republican chair, Senator Nelson, froze the literacy incentive at $46 million per year. And that was to save $3 million. So they froze a literacy program that could have been making all of a difference to save $3 million a year. And if you go back, or if you go forward a little bit to 2019, once again, the formula was 0.5% and 0.5%, 0.5% on the formula. And that was only $31 per student per year. What is $31 going to do? It might buy you a book and a half at the book fair if you want to apply it to literacy. Those are the investments, and I wouldn't call them historic investments in a positive way. And there was no increase in the special education funding in 2019. There was no school breakfast funding increases. And there were no Q-Comp funding changes. Those Q-Comp dollars are the dollars that are provided to teachers for professional development. So when we talk about investing in literacy and investing in our students, and we wonder why we are at such a deficit right now, we can go back to Governor Pawlenty. When he found out how much it really cost to educate our students, he took that report and put it in his bottom drawer, and nobody ever saw it again. And when we talk about how much is enough, we have a $9.3 billion surplus that we could be using to fill the holes in our educational system, and we're not doing that. I appreciate the attempt to build our comprehensive literacy program across the state. Absolutely. But when there are so many other things that are falling by the side that have been refused to be addressed, there is no way that any of us should be voting for this vote, should be voting green on this vote. It leaves too much left to do. And I hope, just like Senator Johnson Stewart, that when this comes back, it's a much more robust, well-rounded attempt to address the issues that really plague our school. Vote no on this bill.
Any final comments before we go to closing comments? Any final comments? We're going to be going to the authors and the leads. Seeing none, Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. We all agree literacy is very important. I have stated at least 3 times that we strongly support the appropriation for $30.7 million for literacy training. And we can do much more. And that's our message. We have additional funds available unless we don't take advantage of this historic surplus. The needs have been identified. I want, though, at this point to just thank the members that served on the committee, Senator Chamberlain, Chair. I've enjoyed working with all of you. The staff, the nonpartisan staff, is just awesome. They're usually right behind us here. I can't look back, but Anne Marie Lewis, our counsel, 25 years. Jenna Hofer, I think she's just completing her 5th year with us. Betsy Helseth, What an awesome trio they are. Just when I started here, we had Eric Nauman, who was fairly new, and then along came Bjorn and then Jay Wilms, and I thought, how can you get such awesome talent? And then we have this group now. They are always there to help, and we have to do a big shout out. And to the reviser, Cassie McGinnis, the way they process the various amendments. We had 26 in committee, surprise. But we're just as you're passionate, we are on what we are sharing with you. I thank Colleen Pacheco and Jessica Tupper for their processing of the amendments as we go to them and get this before the body. To the staff, Ed Cook, who's been here a number of years, the experience, and appreciate and recognize his role and the guidance that he gives to the council. Your caucus. To Judy Donovan, the committee secretary, who basically can do anything, and I congratulate her for her service. I believe she'll be retiring, so thanks for your service. Ryan Majerus, who is our Ed Cook, our chief researcher. Dana Elling, who previously was our researcher. She was with us for the first part of session. And like all of us, she will eventually be, she's now in retirement. But maybe she's watching, maybe not. To the tech expert who sat at the table, Victor Floral, thank you for your service. To the page, Yami Abatu, thank you. Additional staff that have helped us for all of the various amendments and getting our message out. Krista Broughton, Chris Ronquist, Selena Koster, Skylar Vilt, Mark Kimball, Carly Mellon. I also thank the work of the interns, and for our committee, we had Yami Abatu, who did a wonderful job. I had 2 interns that were a part of the process, which I appreciated. That was Trevor Koski and Tristan Skoglund. I'm especially appreciative of what the interns do because last millennium I sat in that chair in front as an intern and then eventually as a page and then working for the president of the Senate and the Senate Education Chair who said, maybe you want to come here someday. Yeah, here I am. Hopefully it's been a transformational experience for you in serving as pages and interns. And also I want to do a shout out to the LAs for other members for the Democrats on the committee. For Senator Swedinsky, who certainly is here in spirit, he's virtual. That would be Greg Weiner. For Senator Isaacson's LA, Danny Gillis. For Senator Kunish's LA, Sammy Rajab. And also I want to deeply thank my legislative assistant for many years. Formerly she was the committee administrator, Nancy Livingston. Members, we agree on the importance of literacy. And I repeat, we support the appropriation, but we can do much more. In fact, Governor Walz has recommended that we do more. And I attempted to amend his recommendations in addition to the 30.7. I won't go through all of those, but to let you know we can do more in fighting the war on illiteracy. Senator Johnson, we would have loved to have helped you on your amendment. The importance of regional libraries, amen. And we could have put in the early childhood opportunities, high quality opportunities. We could have talked about Reading Corps and others. There are many scientifically based, proven ways to address this. And hopefully, when we get back from conference committee, we can improve it. That's a reason why I will support it, though obviously I want to see a lot of improvement, but it's with that hope that we can bring in additional ideas, starting with Governor Walz, who has laid them out in a program called BOLD, which is a part of his Due North program. There's over 1 million students. When you look at public, private, homeschooling, or close to it, there's parents, there's over 100,000 teachers, and teachers, the counselors, social workers, nurses, psychologists, cooks, bus drivers, secretaries, maintenance staff, coaches, principals, school resource officers, superintendents, assistants, curriculum specialists, equity specialists, other administrators, school board members, over 2,000. They are working on these issues. And when we talked about the need for resources, in addition to the Senate Democrats, it's coming from these people, and that includes parents. When we shared the charts, we shared the information that it was from the Association of Metro School Districts, the Minnesota School Boards Association. They surveyed members and other groups, and they said we have not kept pace with inflation. Could Democrats have done more? Yes, they could. You're right, Senator Kiffmeyer, when you point out that we all can do better. And with the historic surplus, that was our key message. We can, we should. And I remind you again of that responsibility that Senator Putnam mentioned, that Senator Swedinsky certainly would have on Article 13, Section 1 in the Constitution about that right to an education and a duty for us to provide resources. We will have a chance in conference, hopefully, to do that as the leadership comes together and negotiates. We've been able to do that on the frontline workers, some more to be done, but ultimately we do have that ability. I truly hope it happens. I want to thank, again, some additional people, and I've mentioned school boards. You need the resources in terms of the budgets. We know that you are faced now with having to make cuts. Hundreds of people have received notices. You have asked for additional resources, because if you have to make cuts, that's not going to help you in fighting the war on illiteracy. You need the staff. And you've told us we need resources so that we can recruit more teachers. We have shortages now and they're leaving. That takes resources. That was the message from school boards as well as many parents and other organizations. Teachers, what more can we do to help? You're leaving, many of you. Yes, we provided some frontline worker, the hero pay, that'll help. But I know that many have already left. And what can we do? I know respect is an important part of that. Resources certainly are going to help as well. So in addition to literacy training, we need to provide resources so teachers can have more manageable conditions, so that we can pay teachers so it remains competitive as well. Talk to teachers and ask them about those issues. You may hear what I've just said, because I'm basing it on what they've shared with me. To the teachers, I just want to note, they had special recognition. And by the way, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, should be every day. But they did announce on Sunday, I believe, the Minnesota Teacher of the Year. I want to congratulate Sarah Lancaster from Onamia Elementary School, first Asian Pacific Islander to receive that title. She's a product of that school district. I believe she's a first grade teacher. She also coaches and seems to be active in almost everything in that community. Read her website. Talk about being accessible to parents. She's so inspiring. And she represents the teaching profession. There were 10 other finalists. I'll quickly mention them. Edward Barlow from Ann Wanton Middle School, Minneapolis Public Schools. Joanna Eiden-Gill, Park High School in South Washington County Schools. John Fila, Northern Star Online, Intermediate District 287. Kendall Gonzalez, Matoska International School, White Bear Lake area schools, where my grandson went. Paul Hauk, Southwest Metro High School at the Intermediate District 288. Bradley Hubred, Moose Lake Community Schools. Aaron Karlgaard, Lowell Elementary School in the Brainerd Public Schools. Rachel Volkman, Gatewood Elementary, Hopkins Public Schools. Andrea Welvart, Cottage Grove Middle School, South Washington County Schools. And Eric Zukala, Robbinsdale Cooper in Robbinsdale Public Schools. We're proud of you, and I'm also proud of several of you, colleagues that are teachers, Senators Swedinsky, Isaacson, Kunesh, Putnam, Nelson, and Clausen. Thank you. It's such an honorable calling. To the parents that have endured through the pandemic, that are working with the students, working with staff, we hear you. We want to provide additional resources. We know how much work you're going to be doing to perhaps have to pass a referendum for additional funds for schools. We know what the PTA has done throughout the years, the largest parent organization and the most experienced in Minnesota, with over 200 chapters throughout our state. They have asked for the points that you have heard from us today. They don't have paid lobbyists, if you will, that can get up here, but they would like to see additional money in the formula, the cross-subsidy addressed, more teachers of color, etc. The parents, this is parents. And yes, reading proficiency is very important to all of us and them too. Finally, most importantly, to the students. We need you. You are our future, the future legislature that replaces us. Many of them will be public school graduates. We've talked quite a bit about some of the challenges, but just briefly, let's remember too, for those that may be just coming in and wondering, is the sky falling totally? There are a lot of great things that are happening in our schools. And we do have one of the highest graduation rates in America. We do have amongst the highest ACT scores in America. Our graduates do an excellent job. They're the pride in most every community. When you particularly go to a rural community, and where is a lot of that community pride? It's at that school. And who's probably the most highly respected? It's going to be the teachers and the coaches and others that are involved in working with the students. There are the programs that need additional funds, and we can do that if we provide more money in the formula. We can do that if we fully fund special education, English language learners, etc. But if we don't, it's going to limit how much we can do for students. The students that come here, we're always reminded of them being the future. Yes, Senator Senjum, and I appreciated your mentioning they're the future. We totally get it. I've always enjoyed so much the visits by the FAA, and what a shining example. And they have requests too that would suggest that our schools can use more resources in what they're doing. But also, what can we do if there's nothing that we're going to recommend? I want to mention and thank Senator Lopez Frenzen for bringing to light the rapid growth of robotics. Did you know that is the fastest growing extracurricular activity? It's a sport now in Minnesota. And for those of you that had a chance to visit, these future leaders that were in the rotunda, they totally are the future. And some of them recently competed in a national competition in Houston. What a great blend of computer science and math and ingenuity. So, Minnesota students, you're doing the best you can with the resources, and I know we can do more. And I pledge to you that the message that we have shared here on the floor about providing resources so that you can learn to read, which is bipartisan, and we can do more. But we can provide more resources, students, to help you cope with special challenges, to help you develop your skills to the best of your ability, to help all students respect one another, and to help you graduate and be ready for continued training for your career and fulfilling your dreams. Students, you are our top priority. Follow your dreams. As Winston Churchill said, never give up, and neither will we. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. I, too, of course, would be remiss. I truly do find it a pleasure to work with the people I call the smart people, Ms. Jenna Hoffer, Anne Marie Lewis, Betsy Jelseth, Ed Cook, Greg Marcus, other staff and members that participate in this thing year after year and always diligently do their work. So my goodness, I don't know where to start. I haven't said a whole lot. I'm going to change up the close a little bit. 50% parents and memory lane. I already talked about. Our number is 50% that don't read. I can't read well. And that trend, as you saw earlier on the desk, has been downward, completely downward for years. And it's worse for our children of color. So, Ms. Senator Weaver, I don't think you heard them. I don't think you heard them. I really don't. I took over this committee last year, and because I've been on it since I've been in, because I care about it. I could have said, well, I could have walked away, so no way, but I did. The kids in our schools, the teachers have been through a lot in 2 years, not because of what they did, but what was done to them, and what they had to respond to. So last year's budget was to stabilize things, give them room to breathe and catch up. I'm going to read a quote, if I may. The tour's purpose is to, quote, celebrate the historic investments in education included in Minnesota's COVID-19 recovery budget, according to a release. Governor Walz, after he signed that bill last year that all of you voted for, he went around the state to celebrate the historic investments in education included in the Minnesota COVID-19 recovery budget. Governor Walz. Now, one more technical piece. We went into conference committee, sat there for a little bit, And finally, we made an offer. 3% and 1.5%. The governor of the House, their first offer was 1.5% and 1%, I think. 3% and 1.5%. And no mandates, almost no mandates. 3 and 1.5 and almost no mandates. So the governor can laud all he wants, and I'm glad he did, because we, at our insistence, got the letters program in there that the House Democrats rejected over and over. We got the social media thing in there, both bipartisan bills, members. But we had to fight and struggle to get in. But it got in, thankfully, bipartisan efforts. We had to fight for it. We offered the 3, the 1.5, and we kept it at 2.5 because of Senate position. Historic funding, Governor Walz. Not my words, his. Now, you're going to have to indulge me for a little bit because I've done this. 20,000 kids, give or take, have been pulled out of public schools in the last couple of years. That equals, roughly $200 million. St. Paul lost a lot of students, so did Minneapolis. So they had a budget shortfall and they had to close schools because they lost. The state lost 20,000 plus students because the parents pulled them out because of challenges and the frustrations in the district. Now, let me just review and we'll go on. 6% total funding increase, 2.5, and I think 2 last year, 2.5 and 1.5. 2.5, 2. $3 billion of federal money, you got that handout. You could all look at it. Almost no mandates. We made that big offer in conference committee that we had to give in a little bit to the governor and the House. Now, memory lane. 2013, you remember the year? The Republicans were in the minority. The Democrats were in the majority. They passed the bill. It was, quote, it included mandates, more programs, more spending. The mandate, one of the biggest mandates was the world's best workforce. We'll get back to that in a second. Memory lane. A grand slam, quote, unquote. A member in this body said that in an interview. It was a grand slam, unquote. Quote, best education bill ever, unquote. More money is better, unquote. This will close the achievement gap. The 2013 K-12 bill will close the achievement gap. All kids will read well by 3rd grade. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. That was 2013. I got to uncrumple this. I got to read it still. 2013, Grand Slam, biggest ever, best ever, programs, mandates, pre-K, voluntary pre-K and early childhood. Best bill ever. Well, where are we today? Where are we? Since 2013, that reading's gone down. Since 2013, every demographic group has lost ground. Has lost ground. Best bill ever. All the resources, you could have done everything you want. And by the way, formula increase that year, for all the talk about formula increases, 1.5%. All the mandates, all the extra spending, all the programs, 1.5% on the formula. All, and what have we wrought? We've wrought 50% can read at grade level. 30% of children of color. That's what has been wrought. That is a conclusion. So at the time, myself and some other members were concerned that not only all these things were being piled on, but you were reducing graduation requirements and removing accountability standards. So my quote at that time was, quote, false promises, unquote. A colleague of mine said, this is a failure. Where are we today? Where are we today? It's tragic. That was 2013. 50%. That's not equality. That's not improvement. And by the way, when we educate children, funding's important. Always has been. We got to do it. Agree. But you've got to be able to educate those kids. They've got to be able to read. And that's been a complete and utter failure. 50%. Now, parents, we'll leave memory lane for a minute. We might touch that again. The parents came to me in 2013. I'm going to tell this story again. And there was bipartisanship there. It took a long time. The parents couldn't believe that something so common sense could be so hard. Why they would sit in an office with an elected official, and that elected official would say, you know, Chamberlain doesn't support my bill, so I'm not going to put the reading stuff in. Yeah, that happens. Sitting in a committee hearing, we got families and kids ready to testify for this important stuff about dyslexia and reading. Squeezed in for a couple minutes. They came there early. Squeezed in for a couple minutes after rocking and reading. And we gave them money, rocking and reading. I remember standing up here in the minority when the tax bill came out. We had asked for some money, a little bit of money, for dyslexia specialists at the Department of Education. Nope. That didn't happen until years later. So thank you, parents, for your perseverance. Thank you, parents, for your love of your children and your cause and your courage, and for continuing to fight for your kids. Not just their kids, members, but other kids. Not just the kids in their home, but the kids across the state. So how well did you hear the parents? How well? I don't know. So again, it's not a budget year, members, but we do have a crisis, and it's in reading. Pick an analogy. Reading and literacy. That car doesn't move. Doesn't go anywhere. If the car doesn't have great wheels, good tires on it, you can spend all the money you want on engine blocks and carburetors and paint, bumpers, all kinds of stuff. But if they're not reading, if you don't have the wheels on the car, you don't have good tires, that car doesn't move. That's, I think, the analogy that my good colleague was looking for. Do all you want to that, but if you can't read, that car won't move. And we see the results. And recently, the school districts and even the Department of Education has decided to reduce standards by saying reading isn't going to be considered as much in rating of schools. I forget what district it was. I think it's St. Paul said we're going to reduce the number of credits required to graduate. Some people even say, why do I have to memorize stuff? All I got to do is go to Alexa. Why are we in this spot? It's not because we don't fund. We haven't got the wheels right. Everybody says, we care about that. You all care about that. Well, we'll see. Because we got a vote coming up. We'll see how much you care about it. You can make all the excuses in the world, but do you really care about it? This is not a solve all your problems in the world bill, because you tried that in 2013 all the pre-K and all the kindergarten and all the programs and world's best workforce and the mandates and the reducing standards. You tried to solve the world's problems back then. But here we are, still the same old dance. Now let me tell you a story about Pelsby. So I'll wrap this up in a minute, but Pelsby. So we were looking around, digging around this year. Now the teachers have told us, and some of you, that they never got this reading stuff in college. We had superintendents tell us, I got elementary ed teachers that were licensed in this, but they don't know how to teach reading. Not the fault of the teachers. So we started digging around and went to the smart people, the smart folks again. And this is my fault. There's a statue out there. It defines, do you believe it, people? For all my colleagues at Caressa, do you know that there's a statute that defines science of reading? And that the colleges and universities are supposed to teach it to those teachers? Did you know that? Because it's there. The definition is in statute. But you know what else? The teacher licensing board before Pelsby didn't pay attention. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. Pelsby sat in our committee, and they said, I asked specifically, did you approve these two colleges for teacher prep and the reading courses? Yeah, they did. I said, do you know that they changed their program to adapt to science of reading? No. Well, you approved programs that weren't teaching science of reading. So why are we here going down memory lane? Statute's been on the book for 10 years. We've known for over 20 years what's needed. But the system failed the teachers. Thousands of teachers didn't get educated. Hundreds of thousands of kids graduate high school not being able to read well. To about 250,000 in those years, from 2014, with all those new programs and all those new mandates and all that new spending. 250,000 kids walked out of high school, got a diploma, and they couldn't really function in society. They were being let down. So, the system failed. Somebody missed something. So that's why we have that in the bill this year. What are you giving money to letters for? We want to make it clear. Letters is successful in many other states. Teachers have used it in this state, it's successful. Hennepin uses it now. They're training their teachers anyway. Other districts are doing it. It works. Now everybody knocks on Mississippi. How much do you think they get per pupil? Do you think they're as rich as this great state? Do you think they do as much preschool and daycare as this great state? I'm guessing not. But you know what? I bet you can't. It's hard for you to look at those scores on the NAEP that they're beating us, no matter how much money you put into the system. That's because the system failed our teachers and therefore failed the kids. So, I'll make a comment about reading itself. We don't look at reading right just as academics and world's best work. We don't send kids to school just to be widgets and a cog in a wheel, right? If they can't read, not only can they not work, but they can't fully experience the greatness of life and humanity and all those wonderful things out there. They've been robbed of that too. Can't read, you suffer mental health problems. Can't read, classroom's disrupted. Can't read, you might go to jail. Can't read, you need help from the state. So yeah, we have a duty to give resources, but we got to educate them, and that hasn't happened. You had the big bill in 2013, Grand Slam, more money's better. 1.5% in the formula, best bill ever, close the achievement gap. Well, it didn't. All that money, all that spending, all those programs didn't work. But here you are again today. Let's do more of that. Attacking the literacy plan we have. But let's do more of what we did in 2013 because, you know, maybe that'll work. No. So we put together an idea, a project, because parents and educators have talked to us, and we are going to focus on literacy. Parents need it. They all need it. So perhaps, just perhaps, as I opened up, I said, perhaps we can put politics and agendas aside and just focus on fixing a problem and getting results. But perhaps we've just been so blinded by politics and agendas, we missed what was right under our nose. Politics ran the day. I seen it, the parents seen it. They were told to get out, go away. I'm not doing that. We had to fight school organizations and lobbyist organizations, people that jumped up and would, at the last minute, be clutching their binders and looking at us out of the corner of their eye after not telling the parents and us what they're doing. Yeah. You listened all right. That's not listening. Blinded by politics and agendas, it was right under your noses. But you couldn't see it. Well, we're hoping that there's bipartisanship on this to address this most serious problem so they can move forward. I'm sorry for taking all the time, but so many things to be addressed and information to be corrected. So I have been working for families, so have my colleagues. So has Senator Nelson before me with her bills. We have. I'm just frustrated that we can't see through this and see the opportunities to solve a problem and to fix it. That's frustrating. And if you want a lot of money on the formula, it's not coming from the House. So, members, thank you for the time. I went longer than I wanted, but so much to say, and I probably still didn't say it all. I hope and pray for the parents and the educators. I do. We do our best. I do my best. We do our best. The team does. But this is the crux and the thrust and the heart of the problem. Do this, they'll reach 90% in 6 years, and you'll think about this as just a bad, bad dream. And hopefully we can get those other 250,000 caught up. Thank you, Mr. President, members.
Senator Lopez Franzen.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members. First of all, I'd like to reiterate the fact that it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I want to thank teachers, and I want to thank families, and I want to thank Minnesotans for bearing with the struggles of the last few years when it comes to teaching our kids and preparing our kids for the next generation. I also want to start by talking about the decorum on this chamber, and Senator and members and President Osmek, we talked about this earlier. There's a lot of anger and frustration on this floor, on this debate today, and it's not new, but it's a function of politics, as my colleague Senator Chamberlain just mentioned, but it's also a function of the process. And this is a unique bill, quite frankly, the first time in 10 years that I've been on the Senate floor to vote on an omnibus bill, one single subject, literally one single subject, and no pun intended, about literacy, which is an important subject, and we all agree. I think if this was just a standalone bill and we were coming up with more ideas and not a silver bullet of helping our kids, I think we'd be better off in this debate. But members, the reality is that we have divided legislature, and we have a function of the majority and the minority, and we have a process where we put our bills together in the beginning of session and throughout the interim, and we expect our bills to be heard, to have hearings, And that process has shifted over the years. And in education, it's been an area where we've had a lot of proposals as a minority party in the Democrats who really fight for more funding for school, more supports for teachers and families. And we see this holistically. So when we come to the Senate chamber and talk about an omnibus bill on just one subject, it's really frustrating, and it does create some anger and anxiety I think on both sides, because we want to help kids, we want to help families, but we all agree that one thing is not going to be enough, and I think we can put the politics aside there and address the issue at hand today, which is that we all value education as Minnesotans. And we all have always understood how important our schools and our teachers and our families and our students' well-being are to our state's future. And past generations of Minnesotans and legislators on both sides of the aisle have understood this and prioritized education, because they know that in order for Minnesota to thrive and succeed, we need an educated workforce and a culture that values it. And our past legislators before us, they knew that sustained investments in education and in our students comes back to our state manyfold, and it's important for Minnesota's sustained prosperity. And we know that after this pandemic of 2 years, we've all struggled with what we need. Some of the silver lining of the pandemic is that we realized that we were not just underfunding special education and mental health, but now we have a bigger gap and a bigger problem. So when you hear our frustration and our anxiety about the lack of really targeted funding in this bill, which is the education omnibus bill, that's where we're coming from. We're coming from a sense of knowing and learning from this past few years, things that we already knew, but that are now bigger gaping holes in our system of education that is holistic, that it takes into account the entire child and their families. So members, for months, we as Democrats have pushed in this body for discussion of how to best help our schools get through this pandemic and to help our teachers, who for 2 years have done heroic work and have taught our students under very trying circumstances. My first kid in school, in kindergarten, his first year of kindergarten was during the first year of the pandemic, the full academic year. And I was very nervous about his experience, especially going into a French immersion school, which is one of our great public school programs we have across our state. We have Chinese, we can go on and on about the diversity of language programs we have in our public school system. This is one in my district that people are on a lottery to get into. It's such a prized program. So he had an experience, and obviously with technology that none of us have ever experienced before, of having kindergarten mostly in person, but some remote with the dealings of this unpredictable pandemic. And we want to make sure that, you know, that members understand, maybe you don't have little kids, maybe you're a grandparent and you've seen your grandchildren dealing with this and not being fully integrated to what we call, you know, the normal before pre-pandemic. We also want to make sure that we acknowledge that every person in the workplace, especially in the school system, has gone through a lot of anxiety and a lot of burned out, right? Like any one of us during this pandemic, and many of them have decided to retire early or leave the profession entirely, and our state cannot afford that. We've also pushed as Democrats for debates on how to best help hundreds of school districts across the state that continue to be swamped by that special education cost that we talked about, and to assist schools with the urgent shortage of student mental health services, school counselors, that has been greatly exacerbated by COVID. These are some of the issues that we hear in our districts from parents, from students, from teachers, from school leaders that have repeatedly told us they want this Senate to address. They have told us these problems are becoming overwhelming and that we need to act. So that is where our anxiety comes from. We know what we've heard in our communities, not just in the committees, Senator Chamberlain, in our communities, from parents, from teachers, from families. And Unfortunately, this bill that's coming before us today is bringing forward one single solution for the depth and breadth of issues that we know we need to address as a legislature. So it's not meeting the moment. And it signals a continued trend to underfund and undervalue our public schools. And it's stunning that this bill is so small and narrowly targeted. Members, I did pass along a spreadsheet from the House, the Senate, and the governor's proposals for E12 education. You can see it. We can make it available for the public to see. It is a 50-line proposal comparison about where the governor, the House, and the Senate is. And you can see visually the gaps in funding on the Senate side. This body, compared to the House and the governor, this proposed legislative session, different programs from special education crop subsidy for pre-K eligible 4-year-olds, from early childhood scholarships, sometimes something that we've agreed to on a bipartisan level. I've worked with Senator Carla Nelson on this for years since I first came into the Senate, before even having kids, understanding that early childhood investments have numerous benefits to literacy and the results we're wanting to see from the debate today. Members, it talks about mental health innovation grants. It talks about all the different pieces that we have been hearing from our school districts that they need. Levy equalization, we have full service community schools, grow your own. We talk about the pre-K, 4-year-old children in school system. I can go on, but my point is, if you just look at this and glance at it for 1 second, our side, the Senate side, is blank, 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 blank. $3 million, blank, 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 blank. Members, we can do more. We must do more. And we do have an historic opportunity with this surplus. $9 billion now, and the tail's $12 billion. It doesn't count inflation. We tried to fix that today, but it was ruled not germane to this topic, which is beside myself. I just can't understand how we can talk about funding for education without acknowledging that we actually have to look at the numbers, the cost of things. And if it doesn't include inflation, it is a false cost. Members, it's stunning that we continue to ignore what our education leaders across the state say we need. This is not just in Edina, Minnesota. This is in Morris, Minnesota. This is all over the state. Superintendents, school board members are grappling with these decisions, and we keep hearing at the top is crotch subsidy being one of the biggest issues because it's the biggest expense. And we must take care of our kids with special needs. That is not a question. With this historic surplus, it is stunning how little this majority is putting towards something so important for our state's future. I can't explain it, I won't explain it, but I will put it into perspective. This bill reflects the fact that the majority has prioritized permanent tax cuts that are very costly, skewing to the wealthiest Minnesotans at the expense of any other budget priority in our state, at the expense of education, E12 education, and this particular subject matter we're talking today and we're about to vote on. It's unbelievable that we are making that decision, spending 8 times more on costly tax breaks, permanent tax breaks, for those making over $250,000 a year, than we spend on Minnesota schools, on public education. 8 times more, I repeat, on the wealthiest tax breaks for the Minnesotans versus public education. And it's hard to believe. Here's another way to look at it, members. The amount of money the majority is putting towards public education in this bill, the education of our children, is small, is so small that it's actually millions of dollars less than what the Minnesota Timberwolves basketball team is paying just one player. One player. Lucky player, I guess. Think about that. Ask yourself, is that what we're sent here to do for our schools, our students, and our state's future? And we love the Timberwolves. They made the playoff this year, and I think they're having a bright future. But I'm very concerned about the future of our kids, the future of our state, and the future of our workforce. Members, even if we agree with the majority literacy bill, because it's just a literacy bill, we should all be embarrassed. We are failing our students, our parents, our teachers, and our schools and our businesses who sent us here to do the work we need to continue to educate our workforce. And we need to really understand that if we're trying to address the deficiencies that we claim are in learning to read, and I just want to correct for the record, 40% of students are not reading at a grade level. That includes my first grader who is learning French and English. He's not reading at grade level. He meets that statistic. That does not mean he's not going to learn to read at his grade level. But to say that 40% of Minnesotan kids can't read is not accurate. This bill waves the white flag of surrender at the problems that we know exist in our schools and that all of us had heard time and time again. Again, look at the spreadsheet. We have a $9 billion surplus, $12 billion in the tails, and an opportunity to address education challenges that we've heard over and over again. And we will regret the day we put tax breaks for the wealthy over the future well-being of our schools and our state. It's a slap in the face to the heroic efforts of our teachers who got on our schools and our students got through the 2 years of a difficult pandemic, deadly and unpredictable. Is this how we thank them on Teacher Appreciation Week? Simplifying their challenges in the classroom with only one proposal? Our teachers are telling us they're burnt out and need smaller class sizes to give students the attention they deserve and need. Now, sadly, too many teachers are starting to continue to leave the profession. And why, you ask? Because they keep hearing on this Senate floor that teachers aren't doing enough. They keep hearing that our teachers are the problem. Members, you can pay me enough to be a teacher for the work that they go through every day. You can't imagine the complexities every child brings with them and what they do to help them every day. And it's not just one teacher, it's a team of people in the school setting. And we keep shortchanging them. This bill is simply deficient. Many school administrators are trying to find a way to hang on to teachers, bus drivers, and important school staff, while at the same time being swamped with more than $800 million shortfall in special education costs that Minnesota school budgets have been asked to simply absorb. Perhaps most importantly, in this moment of record budget surpluses, this bill ignores parents, it ignores teachers, it ignores education leaders, and above all, students who are crying, needing more counselors and more mental health supports. We know that those needs are skyrocketing during this pandemic, but Republicans put exactly $0 in this bill towards those needs. Democrats have been across the state to listen to what parents need, teachers and school administrators, and what they've told us. And we have proposals that have failed to meet committee process. I guess that's part of the new structure of the legislative process. If you're in the minority, your voice does not even merit a hearing. We have proposals to address the problems our schools are facing, but the majority, again, puts tax breaks at its central budget priority and would not even consider them. It's also a stunning failure of leadership that this majority must now explain to schools, to their parents and their businesses when they start getting laid off. Teachers will get laid off, paraprofessionals will get laid off, programs will be cut before and after school. You must explain why we haven't even tried to give them what they repeatedly told us they need. And again, I can't explain it, and I won't. So to Minnesota parents and teachers who have told us they want smaller class sizes and more investment in mental health services and school councils, we hear you, and we will keep fighting for you, and we want to help you. To every school district across the state being swamped with special education costs, we hear you, and we will continue to push our proposals to help. And to the thousands of teachers across the state who, after 2 tough years, are thinking of leaving the profession because you feel you're not supported by this bill and by other policies. We hear you, and we have proposals to help. We understand that our schools need resources to help our students, teachers, and families, and our schools. We also understand that, again, a $9 billion surplus, $12 billion in the tails, we have an opportunity to address the real needs of our schools and students in a significant way. But unfortunately, today, we're clinging to costly priorities that will hurt our economic future. We can and must do better for Minnesotans and for our future. And again, it's depressing that on National Teacher Appreciation Week, the Minnesota Senate GOP will pass an education omnibus bill that does basically nothing for teachers and our kids in our schools. I urge a red vote.
Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Education has long been a priority for Democrats and Republicans here in the legislature. And look no further than our current budget. The current $51 billion 2-year bipartisan budget that many of us, Democrats and Republicans in this chamber, voted for, invests over $20 billion in education. Over $20 billion. Record investments in education funding. Yet, 40% of our kids are not reading at grade level. And when a student is not proficient in reading, it makes math more difficult. It makes science more difficult. It makes American history more difficult. When a student is not proficient in reading, it makes every other subject area more difficult. Members, we're investing in education, record investments in education, but something is not working. It's time to do something different. And that's exactly what this bill does. This bill is laser focused on literacy. We absolutely appreciate everything that our teachers do. And that's why this bill invests in teachers to ensure that our teachers have the tools they need to teach the kids in the classroom the skills they need to be successful, not only in school, but in everyday life. Members, not only is this a good bill, this is a very, very important bill. I encourage a yes vote.
The Secretary will take the roll on House File 4300 as amended. Call on Senator Herr to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Herr.
Mr. President, I report nay for Senator Swarzinski,
Swadzinski votes nay. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator Eaton,
Eaton votes nay. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator Fateh,
Fateh votes nay. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator Kent,
Kent votes nay. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator Latz,
Latz votes nay. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator Marty,
Marty votes nay. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator McCune,
McEwen votes nay. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator Newton,
Newton votes nay. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator Torres Ray,
Torres Ray votes nay. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator Wickland,
Wickland votes nay. Senator Herr.
and aye for Senator Hoffman,
Hoffman votes aye. Senator Herr.
nay for Senator Port.
Port votes nay.
That's all. Thank you.
Call on Senator Utke to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Utke.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Utke.
Senator Abler votes aye.
Abler votes aye. Senator Utke.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Utke.
You know what? Okay. Senator Draheim votes aye.
Draheim votes aye. Senator Utke.
Senator Gazelka votes aye.
Zalka votes aye. Senator Utke.
Senator Goggin votes aye.
Hagen votes aye. Senator Utke.
Senator Limmer votes aye.
Limmer votes aye. Senator Utke.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Utke.
Senator Rosen votes aye.
Rosen votes aye. Senator Utke.
And, Mr. President, Senator Tomassoni votes aye.
Tomassoni votes aye. Senator Utke.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There are being 37 ayes and 29 nays. House File 4300 as amended does pass, and its title agreed to. Moving to the 13th order of business, announcements. Without objection, the following senators will be excused from today's session. Senator Champion from 11:20 to 11:35. Senator Rude from 1:50 to the end of session. Announcements. Senator Senjum.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, an email may have gone out on this, I'm not sure, but the Minnesota Legislative Society is meeting down at Burger Mo's. Started at 4:30. I'm not sure when it ends, but if you want to see some former legislators, they're probably down there. And for those of you that don't know former legislators, probably a good place to go and get to know some of your history here in the institution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Benson. Nope, pass. Further announcements. Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate do now adjourn until Wednesday, May 4th. Tomorrow's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom, early. Wednesday, May 4th at 11 a.m.
And today's my brother's birthday. So, to the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. No. The motion does prevail. Senate is adjourned.